choose to love with freedom flies from my heart where the light keeps shining, and I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love.
Hi, I'm Larry Reynolds from Grace Healing Ministries, and this is Ina Marie Hale.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We are glad to be here, but we also want to establish at the beginning, as we do in each and every video, the first mandate that we establish for Grace Healing in these videos, which is a holy prayer of protection over you and the opportunity to surrender ourselves and submit completely under God's Spirit for God's guidance to emerge within this. God's design for the state of your life where it is now and where you're going within God's call, not necessarily our design or our expectation for life. So if you would just breathe and remember that the soft and gentle breath of God's Spirit resides throughout your whole being. It's not just something that you breathe in through your lungs. It's not something that you stop in your breath right here because of the demands of your day, the expectations of things unfolding throughout your day, where you just kind of take these short breaths and you don't actually breathe into the fullness of your being, the essence of God's Spirit manifesting throughout all of your body, the wholeness of your being. So we just choose to breathe into God's presence and recognize the holy name that is Yahweh as God Creator, Yeshua as the name that is the perfect manifestation of the flesh of God, and Abun, the life-giving breath of God's Spirit that resides within each and every one of us.
Yes.
In this prayer, we extend to you in thanksgiving to know that God has established a holy ground for protection over you, that you will hear, know, and recognize the words that are most important by God's design for the sake of you on your journey, and be freed from any words that are not present for you at this time within your journey. We offer thanksgiving through the blessed and holy name of our Creator, Yahweh Yeshua Abun Nebeel Kotol Yalam Elohim Avasheli Kandur Khomon El Halal, the one God to be worshipped above all gods as our Creator, Sanctifier, and Redeemer. The El Halal is the God to be worshipped above all. And in this time, we're surrendering into a extension of videos for Grace Healing, and again, trying to increase the resources available to you. And the Grace Healing Ministries YouTube channel is set up again as a forum for you to do the research you would like to do, to try to tear down whatever it is that we're offering within your own belief and constructs. But we do want to ask you to consider that as you measure these thoughts and awarenesses that you are holding up, you're taking our understandings and you're weighing them against your doctrine and your theology or the beliefs that you've lain hold of as your possession or your defining factors. We want to ask you first to measure if those beliefs, understandings, honestly come from a loving and perfect God. Or is there some place within time that those beliefs or doctrines you have embraced may have diverted away from a perfect and loving God? Maybe have diverted away from the sense of a divine loving Creator, a holy sanctifier and Redeemer. Have they somehow, through doctrine and theology, convinced you that vengeance is righteous upon those who are righteous before the Lord? Or is it that it is okay to use the instrument of fear or intimidation to actually gain result? Is it okay to embrace the spirit of war to establish the understanding of protection? So we would ask that you might consider emptying yourself and honestly sit with the essence of God's presence. Sit in a humble state before God and relinquish all things that you think you know or understand to embrace the one thing, that God's Spirit has the right and power and order within you to establish all things of blessing and free you from any words that may not be of God. So I know in our times with dialoguing back and forth, we cover a lot of ground, and we have some great conversations as we're driving along, because we're going to drive so much to meet with people and do different things within Grace Healing. And it's wonderful sharing in these conversations. And there's times where it would kind of be fun to be able to capture those.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Because God's Spirit just unfolds, and all of a sudden we're just going off in these beautiful...
Because a lot of times you can't capture it exactly how it was.
Yeah, exactly.
With us, and just like in the last episode, we were sharing the essence of God.
Yes.
And the true essence of who He is within us. And not to put... Well, for me, just to put a face on Him,
Mm-hmm.
because He's Spirit.
Yes.
And although it's a beautiful thing to have being able to see a face, but truly, God is Spirit, and He dwells within you. And we spoke on this in the last episode that we had, and even just picking up from that, that's not even the words. It's really about His love. He is love.
Exactly.
The very breath you breathe, He breathed into you. That is Him. That is God.
Yes.
Within you.
Which actually extends beyond Him.
Yeah, it's
For
not
God
Him.
is
That's
the
right.
manifestations of all blessed attributes of both the feminine and the masculine. But we in humanity, we've become so accustomed to naming God as only Him that we've kind of lost sight of the awesome wonder of the feminine. And the feminine is even defined within Scripture as her wisdom,
Yes.
her compassion,
especially in Psalms,
her love.
and Proverbs.
Yeah.
So in that, even speaking, we have done that. And now you go back in Scripture, and that's where some will say, well, I'm reading that as He.
Right.
And again, as you have shared in the past, how some things with theologians and others, those words were altered.
Yes.
And if you go back to the original Aramaic, correct?
Hebraic, which is the
Hebraic.
earliest form of Hebrew.
And that'll show that it is not He.
Right.
That was shifted and changed. So we're used to saying that. We're used to saying that in church. She wouldn't be even mentioned in churches.
Exactly.
And she represents that feminine side, the wisdom of God. It speaks it all throughout, especially in, and David spoke about it in Psalms.
Well, let's look at Yeshua.
Yeah.
Yeshua spoke to the names of God and never said Father. Now, we've translated it to Father.
Yeah.
And many people see within Scripture, well, my Scripture says Father. And it's like, well, no. Yeshua said El, Elah, Eloi, Yah, Yahweh, Abun. He did not say God Father. We're the ones that transposed or veiled the original words with the constructs we hold. It's like what you were talking about when you're speaking to the essence of God. I don't want to put a face on God because God is so much more than a limitation of a face.
Right, and that's where my level has gone from. It was a face.
Yeah, exactly.
Because God meets you right where you are, and that's where I've been. And now to go extend to that, I've never heard it.
Yes.
Other than with Grace Healing Ministry.
Because we want to look beyond
Yes.
the physical desire or expectation to touch upon something of a physical nature. We want to relinquish that and touch upon the spirit nature of that which is God.
Yes.
And that can only come when we release these constructs or limitations that we have formed within ourselves that do not define the totality of God, which is limitless and beyond words.
And so I have to interject going back to the many times that I've heard, and I've done it too, because you build a relationship with God, and you're ready, like, I can't wait to get home to my mansion in heaven and stuff like that.
All the physical attributes.
And I know there's nothing wrong with that, but that it's gone beyond that. It goes to a whole nother place in your relationship.
Now, what do you mean? You mean to you That's where you used to believe was going to the mansion, seeing the face of God, seeing Jesus, seeing physically Jesus. You've gone to this mindset which is far beyond.
Is beyond that.
Okay.
It's just more than the physical. And yet, I've known that God is spirit. It says it in Word.
Yes.
Word that's within us and also in Scripture. But it just like, boom. It just dawned on me. It's like you get a revelation on things, when you're learning things in school or part of your jobs. Sometimes some people take longer to get, or they've never been taught that, and some will walk away from it and won't have anything to do with such a thing as that. But the truth of the matter is to go deeper into God in the essence. So mine used to be is that being in His presence, I did that, and I absolutely loved it, and still am today. However, it's a different place now. I don't have to have. I don't know that I could say that I was striving.
Right.
I don't know that I was striving, but I so much wanted more of Him, and now I'm finding out. If I just surrender all, it's all right here within me, and those voids that were within me thinking that I'm not doing enough for God, or I'm not reading the Scriptures enough, or what do I need to do, when really it's just a surrender. And as you do that, God meets you where you are. So where I am is being more in revelation of His essence.
Yes.
Deeper places, beyond the blood, beyond the tangible body. And so when
now can I speak to something there, because what you say, and I'm going to just identify it for you that listen and watch Grace Healing. When I've said something like that in the past, it puts people in a deep, abject fear. It puts them in a state of fear to think that you're not speaking to the blood. Remember that even the word blood, as we discussed in the previous video series, was actually the word essence. This is my essence. This is the spirit of my being.
And again, that was altered.
So when you're speaking that, one of the things that I see is, for the sake of you, that you are still living in the language of humanity, which is describing it as blood, the corporal form of Yeshua, or corporal form of Yeshua that was temporary upon this earth. We're trying to direct people towards the limitless nature of that which is Yahweh, that which is Yeshua, and the breath of God's Spirit, the Amun, which resides in you. We're trying to remind people that this is far surpassing any physical nature or physical recognition within us. So we're not looking for a feeling of God's presence or the face of Jesus. We are looking for the absolute peaceful knowing that God has preceded us, God is moving us. And I was led to do a prayer call last night while you were in flight, flying from Texas to Maine here.
Yeah.
And the instruction was to help people understand that, it doesn't matter if you're incredibly gifted as an athlete. It doesn't matter if you're incredibly gifted as a manager. It doesn't matter if you're incredibly gifted and talented as an artist. If you understand the nature of God's Spirit within you, God is all those things. So even though you've been defined by somebody like, oh, Jim is an amazing artist, he's a fantastic artist. What if Jim reached a place where he was totally able to surrender all that he thinks he's defined by in the nature of his gifts and talents, submit them completely into God's grace? He would find the essence and presence of God magnifying his gifts, talents, and abilities to be more than he could ever do as an individual human.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Jim becomes God's presence, founded first within the gifts and talents of artistry, magnified to be artistry beyond creation, beyond understanding. And people looking at his works, seeing that there's a depth within this. I can't even translate it. I have some people that in my life that are artists in that respect, but they engage first within prayer. And when people come and they see the artwork, they find themselves standing there and in tears. And they don't even know why they're in tears.
Yeah, it's so anointed.
Yeah, because the artist knows that it was not them, And they submit and surrender so that the knowing of God's presence is seen when that person looks upon that piece of artwork.
Yes.
And that's where we are within Grace Healing. Is like what Ina's talking about, is that importance of developing that personal union, personal and holy union with God's presence within you, so that you would have a constant awareness of God's governing presence within you. And you would move in such a way that would reveal God's glory, whether it be in your work, your personal relationships, or your business relationships, or your spiritual development, whatever it is. If you place your personal union with God as a silent, knowing that it is God's Spirit to govern you, you will find that everything you attempt to accomplish, even in the nasty stuff that we see upon the earth, you will find that your presence will magnify the recognition of God's presence in the midst of whatever situation encountering.
Yes.
Whether it's painting a painting or helping a person that's been in a car accident or whatever, you will find that God magnifies God's presence, God's essence, through the very essence of your being.
Yes.
That's what we like to teach within Grace Healing, and we love you.
Yes, we do.
And I would love for Ina to just speak a prayer over each and every one of you, if you don't mind doing that at the close of this one.
Of course, I always
Awesome.
enjoy praying. So let us breathe deep. Bosiviana miyasi okulariaraviana, dosivishiti bioloriaraviasanama. Again, we seek you first in all that we do. And even in the close of this prayer, we send out those prayers be lifted up before you, your precious sons and daughters, at the sound of these words and the teachings that come forth that you have orchestrated through Grace Healing. And we thank you that they touch them deep within their hearts and their spirits, awaken deep within them the very breath they breathe, walk in the fullness of knowing how deeply loved they are from you and all that you have for them. So may they continue to walk in your way, growing closer to you each and every day. We thank you for this time. As we come to the close of this video, we give you praise, honor, and glory in your most precious name.
Yarve Yeshua Abun Solokonderve Specialiendarachamon. Please remember to check into the Grace Healing Ministries YouTube site,
Yes.
the gracehealing.org website, or the Grace Healing Facebook page. And please like and subscribe, for it helps the channel to move forward, to reach more people, and the importance of understanding that it is God present with them, not something they have to attain through a certain study or thesis of understanding. It's a recognition of God's presence within. And if we find that a person breathes or thinks in any way, or even a person that is in a hospital bed in a coma, they all benefit from these instructions and these prayers. And we have seen and witnessed people that as they've had these played into their ears while in a state of coma, they wake up. So please take seriously that we are blessed in the opportunity to share in this walk and journey together, and the holy opportunity to share in God's love each and every day. And we love doing it from this platform that is
Yes.
Grace Healing, and serving each and every one of you. We love you dearly.
We do love you. Be blessed.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.